Ashley has 25 years experience taking complex electrical products from prototype to mass production. He has delivered products for some of the biggest names, from Google, Philips, TomTom to Microsoft. Ashley is driven by making automation easy and straightforward for our customers. Ashley, could I ask you to come to the podium?
Thank you very much. Hello, how you doing? Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for your attendance. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about Industry 5.0 and also about sustainable manufacturing. So, as you just heard, actually, a little bit about my background. I have a background in design and engineering of consumer and medical products. I've also helped Med-Tech startups to gain their product market fit, and most recently at Intretech UK, focused a lot on the development of sustainable manufacturing using automation and robotics technologies. Oh, and I'm a big dog lover. This is my Samoyed, Blade. Okay, so a few years ago, I was working in Switzerland near beautiful Neuchâtel Lake, and I was working on digitization projects within the device manufacturing sector. So I was involved in implementing technologies around IoT, robotics, automation, and AI and big data. So one of my roles was to manage and run an accelerated lifecycle testing laboratory for for medical devices. And this is very important because we were cycling devices. We were cycling devices in order to stress the product and to understand their modes of failures and to predict the percentage of failures once it's out in the market. So it's very important, obviously, for medical-based products. Now, the cycling was done in a very manual way, and in fact, it was 100% manual. So we had 4 laboratories in Europe, over 200 operators, and they would basically spend 24 hours a day, obviously in shifts, cycling devices, each device over 15,000 times to represent 2 years' worth of usage. So what we found was we would get quite a large variation in the data. And also, even though we were doing all of this cycling prior to release into the market, we were still getting quite a lot of returns. So even though we were spending a lot of money on this manual cycling, it could certainly be improved, okay? So we looked at basically digitizing the accelerated life cycle of medical devices, and we focused on a few key areas. Okay, so the first being full automation. So we wanted to take a fully manual process and completely automate it, and that was in order to get the accuracy and to get the repeatability as far as the cycling is concerned. We wanted to add a lot more data points so that we could see when the device was failing and why that failure or what that failure was. And that was to feed into like a real-time dashboard so that we could see that. And then the data from that would feed into a predictive model in order to understand what the percentage of the return rates would be. So this all sounded very, very clever and really utilising Industry 4.0 kind of pillars. So what happened? Well, what we actually got was a machine or a hardware that was far bigger than what we anticipated. And this was because we added feature upon feature and feature. And so that had a knock-on effect. Obviously, the cost was double, the lead time was twice as long as it should have done or was expected. And because of the complexities of adding all of these elements, the actual machine would only run, when we got it running, for a few hours at a time. And then it would break, and then again and again. So, whereas previously, when we were manually cycling, although the accuracy wasn't there, it never stopped. It kept on going. So, why did this happen? What were the key elements here that's going on? So, the first area is this human-centric. We kind of lost the human element from going from manual all the way to full automation. And that's really down to too much complexity, as I mentioned. The other is the resilience. The development model wasn't the right one. It wasn't agile. It wasn't using lean development processes. And essentially, it was designed by committee because there was lots of very clever engineers involved. So the final point was also around sustainability. So millions was spent on developing this technology and lots of resource. And ultimately, it became the most expensive paperweight because it never worked properly, and then it ended up just being wasted and just sat in a lab doing nothing. So we weren't the only one to make this mistake. So I'll point you to a tweet from Elon Musk on the 13th of April 2018, where he's saying, yes, excessive automation at Tesla was a mistake. To be precise, my mistake. Humans are underrated. So when we think about these two scenarios, there must be a better approach. We can't keep making these same mistakes. So what is missing when Industry 4.0 has been all about smart manufacturing? Sometimes it doesn't seem so smart. So this is kind of where Industry 5.0 comes into play. And Industry 5.0 is based on 3 core values that really recognizes humans, their input into design, capability and problem solving, as well as reducing environmental impact. So we have this, as I showed before, this human centricity, resilience and sustainability. So these are the core pillars. So I'll just take you through those 3 now, quickly. So human centricity is really about the worker and the environment and promoting talent, diversity and empowerment. So for example, we can upskill current and future workers for jobs in advanced manufacturing, robotics and automation, which then empowers and provides future learning opportunities for them. So what we're doing is we are upskilling, we are improving their working conditions, and therefore improving their lives. So this is a really key aspect of Industry 5.0. Next, we have the resilience, and resilience is around the business model. You know, we see a lot of good technologies, but without the business model, then of course it can fail. So in this instance, business model is around agile business models, and using flexible technologies that allow us to be far more adaptable. So for example, we can implement customizable technologies like collaborative robots, where humans and robots can work closely together with each other, that can then adapt to changing market conditions. So what we're trying to say here is we can use different types of technologies that give us the ability to be flexible and to change, whether that's cost or location or the actual technology itself. And using cobots or automation can help us to do that and link back to the business model itself. So that's the resilience. Then, of course, finally, we've got sustainability. And this is really about reducing environmental impact in whatever we do. And it's something that I'm very concerned about and really looking to try to improve when it comes to manufacturing. So a good example of this is when we're implementing smart manufacturing, like microfactories. We can design for automation up front, therefore lowering the cost. And then also we can repurpose that equipment when the product changes or the design changes, as it invariably does. And therefore we can then reduce the waste or lower our carbon footprint. Okay, so just to clarify then, Industry 5.0 is not a replacement for 4.0, and in fact they need to work together, and it's a greater collaboration between the two, and they work side by side. So this is very, very important. So when we start to think a little bit about medical manufacturing and the problems that we're facing, we see quite a lot of common occurring themes. And that, of course, is around regulatory compliance, clean room environment specifications. Very often high precision, high accuracy is needed at scale. And of course we have multiple variants or SKUs on the design or the product itself. So these typically are the barriers to scaling up from prototype, up into full scale production, which is always the trickiest part. So typically automation is seen as the solution, or has been seen as the solution to help with these barriers. But of course there are a lot of challenges here. The first being long lead times. It takes a long time to set up a fully automated line, and when you want to be first to market, then first mover advantage can obviously be negated somewhat. The other area, of course, is the cost. Typically large capex into the millions for very large automation lines, and this obviously means a long return on investment. And then finally, the environmental impact. So manufacturing lines tend not to be repurposed. As I spoke about the example before in the Accelerated Lifecycle Lab, we spent millions on a automating machine, and it ended up just sitting there not being used. So typically they're left unused, and it's not sustainable at all. So where is the sweet spot with automation? Between highly customized solutions for complex products and generic one-size-fits-all simple tasks that we also need. So to me, what's important is something that's modular, something that is flexible, that can change with the design as it progresses, the flexibility that allows within the business model. Obviously something that's affordable, that has a good return on investment, that allows companies to grow, and obviously sustainable so that it has a less impact on the planet and its resources. So let me introduce to you the sustainable microfactory. And this microfactory concept actually is based on the technologies of Industry 4.0. So we have in this microfactory standardized modular frames. Within these frames we have a conveyor and feeder systems, And the modules are able to do very high precision, high accuracy at high volumes. And what this also allows is this hybrid scale-up model. So instead of just going full-on automation that I discussed earlier, you're able to focus on maybe the bottleneck or your key technical challenge or high precision. And then you can either keep to that, or you can, as your product scales and demand increases, then you can add the modules on, much like Lego. So that's the way that it works. By using this hybrid model, you're actually reducing your time to market. And typically, this modular approach is half the cost of traditional full automation for a line, which then obviously means that you're getting the best return on investment. And we typically see from 5 to 7 years down to less than 2 years. When we add the values of Industry 5.0, then we really have an interesting proposition. So we talked about the human centricity. So with this sustainable microfactory, we're able to actually upskill operators. We still need various amounts of customization on the software and the hardware and the application. So what that means is operators can learn new skills. It also takes them away from repetitive work, which lowers the risk of RSI. The business model is much more resilient because we're able to essentially bring the factory much closer to the target market. So by bringing it closer to the end market, we negate a lot of the costs and risks with shipping either from Asia to Europe or to North America. And by doing that, the costs are lower, of course, and you get a bigger margin and then a faster return on investment as well. And then finally, the sustainable part of it, because each module can change its application very quickly, so from a gluing to screwing to camera vision, then we're able to repurpose and reuse those modules even if the product goes end of line. Then we can repurpose them. So this is typically giving us a much lower carbon footprint compared to traditional manufacturing lines, which we've never seen before. So I can summarize the sustainable microfactory as the perfect blend between Industry 4.0, which is very much technology driven, and Industry 5.0, which is very much value driven. So to be only technology driven is not the answer. We've seen a lot of high profile cases where technology driven only has been big failure. So this is why we also need the human values of Industry 5.0 when we are developing products into the market. So, my last slide here is my vision. So, I very much buy into the technology and the values of the technology of Industry 4.0 and the values of Industry 5.0. And we are working very closely on bringing back manufacturing closer to the market using sustainable microfactories technologies, of course powered by human creativity and critical thinking. So thank you for listening and your time, and if you have any questions I'm happy to answer. This is a QR code. I think if you take a picture of that you can get this presentation. And yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Any questions from anyone? Ashley, I have a question.
Yep.
Over here.
Blinded by the lights.
Where would be an ideal application for your microfactory in the healthcare sector. Give us some examples of where you think this could be really well applied.
Yeah, I mean, quite a number of applications. So it can work at low volumes because of it's modular. We can just focus on the what we say the bottleneck, or the hard part, the high precision. So typically when medical companies are looking to scale up from the prototype up into the tens of thousands or more, then this is a very good technology to be able to do that with the least amount of risk with regards to capital and time and risk. So this is one good example. The other, which is at the kind of the opposite end, is the very, very high volume. So when products are going into very, very high volumes, what we're able to do is expand the lines by adding more modules, and this is very good because especially for medical products that need traceability, need the quality control, we can track the material all the way through the process, and if we need that for CE, FDA, whatever is needed, then we're able to prove that. And typically, it's generally a smaller footprint, so we don't need huge factories that are clean room compliant. We can put them in much smaller spaces, so it tends to be much better way to scale up. If that makes sense.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Any other questions from anyone? Thank you very much, Ashley. If you could give Ashley a hand. Thank you so much.